Hello guys, it's your lady Belter underscore like the cow, and I'm here to say thank you so much to the new subscribers. Welcome to my channel. Continue subscribing, share my content with your friends, and I'm so grateful and I'm here to drop more and more and more content. And for the repeat subscribers, guys, continue sharing my content, like, and you can make a comment down there at the comment section. You can hit a button down there for notification every time I post a new content, and I'm gonna keep on dropping more and more. So today I'm here just to tackle on a small, just like a chit chat about Udemaya story that he told us that we need to share, and talk about this story about Africa being corrupt and, asking for bribe from people and such kind of story. Udemaya, I feel you, my brother. I know how it feels, and you're even lucky you're experiencing that out of your country. Togo is not your home ground. You're like you're experiencing that. You can imagine when you experience that from your own homeland, Ghana, where you come from. It's even more terrible. But what I'm gonna tell you is, Udemaya, is so hard to fight corruption, because corruption does not start from the ground, it starts from the top. Those big fish on the top there, the president, the leaders, are the one corrupt more than anybody else. And if you want to fight corruption, go ahead on top there and fight from there, from above. Because from the ground, people are just trying to survive. Because I'm telling you, if you check the way those people are paid from the border, they're paid a peanut, and they're allowed to take so many loans for them to survive, and the government takes their money through that way, taking loans. So they will have to look for a way to survive, and the only way to survive is to ask people to pay for bribe. And another thing, don't say Africa is the only place which is corrupt. Corruption, it's all over the world. Even if you don't see it in the news, in the, talking about Europe and all over the world, the whole world is corrupt. It might be not in the way of paying bribe, but it's corrupt in another way. If the whole world was not corrupt, we'll be having cure for cancer, we'll be having cure for HIV, and so on and so on. But because of the corruption all over the world, the rich moguls, we can never get these cures. Why? Because they're using people for money. They're using that disease for money. That's how terrible rich people are. And that's corruption in another way of not paying bribe. So when you say Africa, corruption, you better know better. Corruption is all over the world. Even having corona was also corruption, was not a disease that just came from nowhere. This is a man-made disease. It's also corruption. So to fight corruption, I'm telling you, Udemaya, I'll give you advice as a sister from Kenya. You better just focus on your lane, doing your content, just giving us more beautiful stories about our beautiful Africa, our beautiful continent. That will help you more. Just give us the happy side of Africa. But when it comes to fighting corruption, you're fighting the big fish. And you can't fight the big fish. You can try, but I don't know how it's gonna head up. By the time you realize your YouTube is done, proof, kalas, finish. So when you start fighting these big fish on top there, the cartels, you might find yourself in trouble. I'm so sorry for what happened to you. You have said that this has happened to you in even other African countries. You're being deported. But one thing you need to know is Africans, we are not disciplined. There's no way we can allow each and everybody to go through the borders, because some people, they go to particular countries and they don't want to go back, and they start doing messy stuff in that country. You find people dying and people missing. You find people, doing drugs, people doing, fraud, people doing so many things. Africans are not disciplined, and that's why you see corruption happens within the borders, because the people who are doing this smuggling stuff, they always have to use corruption. I'm so sorry for somebody like you who is genuinely doing something very genuinely and showing the world how Africa is beautiful and things that people don't know about Africa. You know, I'm sorry for you to go through that way, but you're going through that way because of most of the number is going through that way through smuggling, to smuggle the bad things to other countries. That's why we can't close the borders, and that's why people can't be genuine around the borders, because there's so many things going on around the borders. So it's so hard to fight this corruption, because this corruption comes from the top. It's not coming from the ground. It's so hard to fight it, and I'm sorry for you to go through whatever you go through in different African countries, but this is because people have experienced so many different evil things from our neighboring countries, and we are not trustworthy. You know, we can't be trusted Africans to other countries, because we don't do genuine business when you go to other countries, which is so hard. You know, white people, Europeans, they'll travel to Africa with legit visas, with legit paperwork. They do whatever they're doing there. It's with business. They're there, you know, for business. And, you know, they have the right papers. If it's job, they're there, you know, with the right papers. But Africans always do smuggling to go to other countries to do things. And they're going to start corruption, because the police will find them, maybe for one reason or another. They will have to use corruption for them to stay, or for them not to be arrested. So it's so hard to fight corruption, because corruption starts with us. It's good that you're fighting corruption, you as a person, for not paying bribe over the border and speaking about it. But do you know how many people passing through the same border and pay that bribe? So it's so hard for us to fight corruption, because it's all over the world, and does not start from the bottom. It starts from above, the cartels on top there, the big fishes on top there, African leaders. So it's so hard to fight it. The government takes the accountability to be the most corrupted people. So it's hard for a normal person to fight corruption. It's not about mental slavery, as people have been saying from our colonial, you know, time, but it is what it is. It is everywhere, not only in Africa. Sad part. It is everywhere, not only in Africa. So you better deal with it. If you're gonna start fighting it, it's terrible. You're gonna have to fight big people. How are you gonna fight big people? You know, I know you've been the biggest YouTuber in Africa, and maybe all over, having 1.25 million followers. That's quite a good number. You can spread the gospel of fighting corruption within ourselves. You know, sometimes you don't want to pay corruption, but sometimes you're in a situation that you will have to do it, because it is what it is. Everything, the system is corrupt. The system is completely corrupt. So there's no way. Maybe there is a way, but at the same time, there's no way to fight corruption. So Udemaya, I'm so sorry for what you go through. Continue doing a good job spreading the gospel to fight corruption, and the most beautiful thing you're doing, showing the best part of Africa. Thank you so much, guys. Continue subscribing. Let's support Udemaya into this. If you can spread the gospel, continue spreading the gospel of fighting corruption. Corruption starts with you and I as a person. Continue subscribing. I love you so much, guys. Love you, Africa.